Greetings, friends. My name is Pavel Stelmach, and now we'll dive into the top news of this day. The International Center for Prosecution of Crimes of Aggression began work in The Hague. Russia's crimes in Ukraine are already investigated by international judicial institutions, including the ICC, the European Court of Human Rights, the International Court of Justice. Ukraine is making efforts to create a special international tribunal for the crime of aggression because aggression is the root cause of Russian crimes and Russia's political and military leadership is directly responsible for aggression. The idea of establishing a special international tribunal has already been supported by a number of countries as well as the European Parliament, the Parliamentary Assembly of the Council of Europe and the OSCE. The International Center for the Prosecution of Crimes of Aggression work will make a significant contribution to the work of the Special International Tribunal. The International Center will collect evidence at an interim stage before the establishment of the Special Tribunal. The Special International Tribunal for the Crime of Aggression format will help to use the potential of the ICC, which itself does not have a mandate to investigate the primary crime of aggression, but has already made important decisions regarding the prosecution of Putin and the so-called child ombudsman of the Russian Federation.
The key purpose of having the International Center for the Prosecution of the Crime of Aggression is to secure crucial evidence, start building up the case already now. We don't want to wait until the end of the conflict. We decided that we will support our partners which started their own national investigations, and we will centralize already available evidence, analyze that evidence, and also identify possible evidentiary gaps through our experts working here at Eurojust.
The work of the Centre will contribute to the efficient and comprehensive investigation and prosecution of the crime of aggression, which is an original sin, commission of which opened the floodgate for 100,000 of other international crimes.
Moreover, in the Russian Federation, they admitted that they had abducted a total of 700,000 Ukrainian children. In recent years, 700,000 children escaping from bombings and shelling from conflict areas in Ukraine have found shelter here. Many are with their parents, and children of orphanages are with their teachers, said chairman of the Committee of the Russian Federation Council, Grigory Karazin. As of the beginning of June 2023, since the beginning of the full-scale invasion of the Russian Federation, it was officially confirmed that 19,484 Ukrainian children had been abducted and taken away by the occupiers to Russia or Belarus, of which 4,390 are orphans. At that time, only 371 children managed to return home. In an interview with CNN, President Volodymyr Zelensky said that Ukraine cannot imagine victory without the return of Crimea. Crimea is an integral part of Ukraine, which is enshrined in the constitution, guaranteed by international law and confirmed by international treaties. We are fighting for the liberation of all its temporarily occupied territories within internationally recognized borders. Crimea has an important strategic meaning. Russia's control over it is a constant source of danger, as evidenced by the events of February 2022. We know the price of war, and that is why we do not trade our own territories with an aggressor. As long as the enemy remains on Ukrainian soil, it is premature to talk about victory. The invader should be punished, not encouraged by territorial gains, especially after events in Rostov with the Prigozhin rebellion. Vladimir Putin's response to the armed Wagner rebellion was weak, and the Russian president is losing control of his own people. Volodymyr Zelensky told this to CNN. Putin faced the greatest threat to his authority in 2 decades. He doesn't control everything. Wagner's moving deep into Russia and taking certain regions shows how easy it is to do. Putin doesn't control the situation in the regions. Some Russians cheered on Wagner fighters as Prigozhin led the unprecedented challenge to Putin's authority. Video geolocated and verified by CNN showed crowds cheering as the Wagner boss's vehicle departed from the southern city of Rostov-on-Don on June 24th. But for us, Ukrainians, Wagnerites are criminals. They are destroying Ukrainian cities, raped women, and kidnapped children. And now they are a threat for Russians too, because I don't think that their behavior will change after returning from the war.
The only trigger that will lead to the inevitable decay process in Russia itself is significant tactical defeats along the front line. This will unequivocally lead to the beginning of heavy military clashes in Russia itself, including on the basis of territories. Therefore, I would not pay attention to some nominal formal events in Russia itself. Russia is no longer a moderator of the process, including in the internal space. Once again, Prigozhin's failed coup showed that Putin has no control. His entourage is the entourage of the Jets. That is, those who want to quickly jump on a plane and fly somewhere, because they are well aware that they no longer have any popularity, authority, reputation and control. And accordingly, all the processes that are already underway in Russia, they are seething, will be accelerated only by tactical defeats along the front line.
And the armed forces of Ukraine are responsible for the front line in our country, and everyone is confident in them now. Ukrainians, Europeans, and Americans alike. Even the Russians. Otherwise, why would they build such saturated lines of mine? July 4th is US Independence Day. We wish the American people a happy holiday, and thanks for all the help we get from US government. The USA did not put up with the Kremlin's attempts to destroy the world order and showed global leadership in curbing the aggressor. From the first days of the full-scale invasion, the United States led a coalition of support for Ukraine. Kyiv is grateful to Washington for its enormous military, economic, and political assistance in repelling the Russian invaders. American weapons demonstrate impressive advantages on the battlefield in Ukraine. The active role of the USA and its allies proved that rumors from Russian propaganda about the decline of the West are greatly exaggerated.
Dear Americans, Ukrainian bravery masters American weapons and secures democracy, which we value equally. Ukrainian love of freedom, with your support, has ignited a new powerful flame of liberty in our part of Europe, which will not go out and will ensure that tyranny will never again pass through Europe. And therefore, Europe will not need your soldiers' participation in bloody battle for freedom and the Ukrainian dream of living freely, when it is crowned with victory in the brutal and unprovoked war unleashed by Russia, will give fresh energy to the American leadership. The world clearly sees now the one who stands with Ukraine stands for freedom. And after our victory, the world will be convinced again the one who values freedom always wins.
And I want to say some information for all those who listen to Kremlin propaganda about the greatness of the Russian army. That they have destroyed and captured 1 million thousands of Western tanks, artillery and heavy machinery. Are you sure about that? Because none of the thinking people are. If Russia captured at least one tank, they would show it on all channels from all sides, as they did with damaged tanks. But you know what? The Ukrainian army has begun recovering some of the roughly 25 Western-made tanks, fighting vehicles and engineering vehicles it lost while trying to cross a minefield south of Mala Tokmachka, writes David Aix for Forbes. Kyiv in recent months has taken delivery of German, Canadian, American, Danish and Norwegian infantry fighting vehicles. To reach the Black Sea and the Sea of Azov from the current front line in south of Ukraine, Ukrainian brigades must advance at least 50 miles along most axes. Every mile will cost people and vehicles. Many of those vehicles will merely be damaged, not destroyed. They could return to the fight, but only after Ukrainian engineers do the hard work of clearing any nearby mines, then hitching the immobilized vehicles to recovery and towing them off the battlefield. It is an effort that is already underway. That concludes our today's video. Thank you for watching. Stay updated. Subscribe to our UATV English channel for more news from Ukraine. Your support is that really matters. Goodbye.